If I can have your attention, please. Today is Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, and it's 1:30. This is the Chartered Club's committee meeting. And if you are able to stand, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, we have all of our committee members present, so we do have a quorum. So to begin with, we'll start with the approval of the minutes from our February 6th meeting. Are there any changes, additions, deletions to those minutes? No? Okay, they will be kept as reported. And with that, we'll start with our liaison reports, and I will start with this end. Nick, we'll start with you.
Hi, yeah, I'm Nick Turner. I'm responsible for the sports clubs. I took over the ones which Paul was liaison for before he resigned. I've reached out to all of those club presidents. I've only heard back from one, and meeting with them tomorrow. Regards my other clubs, the two pieces of notable information at the moment. Those of you who live in the north of our community will notice that Fun in the Sun is going on up at Palm Ridge, the pickleball tournament. I understand that's off to a very, very good start. Don't have any more details on how all of their fundraising and so on is going, but I understand it's off to a good start. And the other one is that just over a week ago, the tennis club had an open day down on their platform tennis courts. Now, I know many of you probably are unaware of what platform tennis is, which is one of the reasons why they were having their open day. They're trying to get more utilization of those courts. They're the only platform tennis courts in Arizona. And there are not many in this part of the United States. They had 60 attendees, and it has created interest. Shout out to Butch and Mike at the back there, who are heavily involved in that, along with Joel. But it has increased interest in platform tennis. There are more people playing. I understand that yesterday and today they've had 7 people on and 10 people out on 2 days, which is a great improvement. They've got 10 people playing. They've got more than, and they're playing singles, and all of the courts are in use. So that's good to hear.
That's great news. Thanks, Nick. Carol?
Vicki and I work together on the Hobbies Clubs, and we've been busy contacting, meeting with, and helping them with a few of their issues. And Vicki is going to give you some details on that. I promise to make it quick. The Agriculture Club, both of us had visited it at separate times, and the club plot manager took me on a golf cart tour of the garden plots while we discussed the inner workings of the club, and he introduced me to a number of members who were working in their gardens. All I can say is I cannot believe what I was seeing. It is absolutely gorgeous, and even though some of the club, the gardeners were not there, just by looking at their plots, it is so obvious the pride that they take in what they do. It was incredible. We're going to be meeting next week with the board of the Automotive Restoration Club, and I did make it to the card show on, I believe it was the 10th, no, on the 10th of February, and I even brought my husband along, and I had never been before, and also absolutely incredible. The Broadcast Club, Carol and I met with the president of the club at the actual radio station, and he explained what this machine did and what that machine did, which was way above my head. And then he was talking about how the whole station operates and exactly what they do. Computers West, we met with the club president who gave us a tour up at Palm Ridge and explained some of their programs. He introduced us to some of the members, some of whom were past officers who still play a very active role in supporting the club. Desert Garden Club, we attended a board meeting in the fall before the elections took place. The only contact we've had so far with the new president is phone conversations. I do want to give a big shout out to the Desert Garden Club. If you like desert plants and you haven't been to their garden at Beardsley, I highly recommend that you go. It is unbelievable, very calming, all right? And the other thing that they do is they have on Thursday, every Thursday in the morning, they have a plant sale. And they have some incredible plants for sale. And they also do that the first Saturday of every month. And while they are not volunteering to landscape anybody's property, they're always on the lookout for people in our community who may want to have a cactus pruned or have a multitude of agave pups removed from their property and then donate them to the club. So if you have that, they just relieved us of about 20 of them. And they then put them up for sale. And the Investment Club and the Model Railroad Club and the Rock Hounds are on our list to actually personally meet the officers at some point this month or the beginning of next month, but they have been contacted. And the Music Club, we have also met with the president. So we're pretty up to date.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions for Nick or for Carol or Vicki? Okay, Connie, you're up next.
Okay, so first of all, I have the social clubs. I have 10 of them. Vicki and Carol and I are planning on pulling our clubs together. Do I have an echo? And kind of talking to them and asking the same questions that Kathy and Judy and Maria have gone through with their clubs, because we think there's some benefit in getting some collective information back. We now have our new president's contact information, and I'm going to be reaching out in particular to those clubs. I haven't heard much from my clubs. I'm assuming good news is coming with no news, but I am going to be reaching out, especially to the new ones, and making sure that they are working on their CR6s and that everything is going well for them. I recently have been working with the men's club. They had a carpet issue come up, and without going into detail, Casey has been very helpful with that. We have kind of a plan to go forward, and the leads that have been working with them have done a really good job. So that's under control for now, but continuing. I had a chance to meet with the RV club at the officers' meetings, and it sounds like they're pretty active with trips coming up. So I'm hoping to get to one of their board meetings soon. And then recently, it came to my attention, just actually today, it came to my attention that there may be some real concerns with the dog parks and outsiders coming into the dog parks. And I'm seeing heads nodding. Some people know more than I do. So I'm going to follow up with Canine Companions and Sunshine Animal to see if there's any way I can help with that. Last month, I did call-outs for both Boomers and Zymergy, generous donations. I've seen some follow-up articles on that in the newspaper, some pictures, and, you know, just, again, call them out for their donations to Helping Hands and the Posse and to Prides. Those two clubs do a lot to support the community, and I'm sure there are many other clubs. I know there are other clubs who do the same, but those are my two, so I get to brag about them. Okay.
Okay, any questions for Connie? Okay, Maria?
So, hello everyone. So Kathy and I worked together on, arts and crafts. The reason I kind of paused there is because we're partnering with Judy, and I just thought, wait a minute, I want to make sure I get this right. So I visited a few of the clubs, like the rest of my constituents up here. They reach out, ask for an invite. If anyone wants to invite us to your general meetings, we're happy to attend. I've attended meetings at the Leather Club, and I've attended meeting at Weavers, fantastic groups. And nothing really new, nothing really, exciting or anything like that, just general business, which is great. But there is one thing that we're working on, the three of us. Last year, on October 20th, and you alluded a little bit that you're doing the same with yours, Connie, I believe, that we met with all the presidents, and we just wanted to have a workshop with them and to see what's on their mind and see if there's anything that we can do to help and how they can partner with each other and learn from each other to help grow their clubs. So we've decided, the three of us again this year, that we're going to meet with them on March 13th, and same sort of agenda, where it's another workshop, and we're going to go through and see what they've learned from each other, how we can continue helping them, and if there's any concerns or issues that we can all work together on. So Kathy, I'm sure you're going to have a little bit more.
No, not really. It really is a good opportunity for us to meet with the different presidents and different clubs, and for sharing information. I think they get a really good benefit out of, for instance, how do you get new members? How do you retain members? Different things like that they can work on together and share information. So that's been really beneficial. And just one other thing, as of this morning, the pickleball had raised over $53,000. That's great news.
Hi, I'm Judy Thompson. I have card clubs, and just to add on to what Kathy and Maria just said, after the meeting last October, and we plan to do this again this year, we accumulated all of their comments and sent them to Jack and Casey. So it's a good opportunity for us to let them know what's on the mind of some of these clubs too, and I think that was somewhat beneficial to them also. Card clubs, we have a lot of new board members in card clubs, and so I think the big challenge earlier this year was to make sure that all of the new leaders knew what they needed to accomplish to keep on task with their clubs. And I can say right now that they've done a wonderful job getting together and figuring it all out with Casey's help and everybody's help, actually. And they're all doing very well right now. What I'm interested in the card clubs is they seem to be thriving. There are a couple that are always going to be don't have a lot of members, but we've managed to put them into Card Players of Sun City West, and so they can continue to play their cards. The topics that we've discussed, I've actually had to reach out to my clubs more this year than I think ever, partly because everybody's new, but just some things that are coming up, bylaw changes that they might have to make to allow for co-leaders of their groups. We had to do a little bit of research on how to run tournaments. What is the best way to run a tournament in a card-playing environment, and share that with the groups so that they can put that into the equation if they are deciding to do tournaments. I don't think there's much else to say other than I think they're really doing quite well right now. We had some room changes, and there were little kerfuffles in the middle of it, but after that, I think everybody's in the spot that is working best for their club right now. And I just have to reach out to Casey. I've had to bug her a lot this year, and I just want to say that I appreciate her quick responses and her willingness to work with us when we've got questions and figure out a way to make it work best for our clubs. And I want you to know, Casey, the clubs are understanding that too, because we're able to get back to them in a timely fashion because of your willingness to respond to us in a timely fashion. So thank you.
And I will give the report for the fitness clubs. I did meet with them with a meeting that Casey arranged. I won't go into the details of the meeting, but it was all of the fitness clubs. Help me out here. It's the fitness, the aquasizers, all of those clubs. And I was very impressed with the leadership of those clubs. We had some topics to discuss and talk through, and we did that very well, and came to some good resolutions. So, it's good for those clubs as well. So any questions for anybody here on the committee, between the committee? Okay, then with that, we'll move to Casey for your report.
All right, so Thank you. The fitness clubs are fitness and line dancers and energetic exercise. And then we also met with some other clubs that it may affect, which is country western dance and rock and roll. So I will kind of go into that because it kind of leads into my presentation. However, for those of you that showed up at 1 o'clock, I appreciate that you read thoroughly. Early's on time and on time is late. My mistake. It's always 1:30. I apologize. I guess that's what you get for sending it out on a Saturday. But thank you for being here. If you know my motto, that's my motto. Early's on time is late. And for my daughters, late is unacceptable. All right, so scheduling, I really want to kind of dive into this pretty heavily, and I'm open to questions, but before we start, she's in the back. Laura Petrin is here. She's our scheduling lead. I talk about her, but there's a face with a name. Many of you do already know her, but we put this together. We've worked pretty hard trying to make this as easy to read as possible so we can avoid too many questions. So we've been having a lot of questions about clubs that are having general membership meetings that are primarily socials and along with their business. Well, why can they do it, but we can't? Well, that's just going to create a domino effect, so we're going to fix this across the board. So first off, I just want to kind of remind everybody, CR6s are due May 1st at 8 a.m., and they must be sent to scheduling@suncitywest.com. And it will be online, so it will be via email. There's no way it's going to go the other way based off the percentage here. We did send an email out to the remainder of clubs that have not voted, and we sent them the link, and that was over a week ago, and they have yet to respond. So 90% is yes for email submission. Lastly, just want to remind everybody we're running out of space. Judy talked about card clubs being stronger. Well, that's for everybody. We have 91 clubs, and if you remember my presentation last month, I talked about stronger together, and that's what's happening. Good thing. Lastly, here's the big change, and this is an operational change. This will help our staff that you see at Palm Ridge and the staff that you see at R.H. Johnson. Now, I was talking about the fitness clubs. We have phase 1, and that's moving all the fitness clubs to one location. We're having those instances where there's a fitness club, and then they have to set up for 250 people to break down for a fitness club to set up for 250, the exact same setup actually for 250 people, so on and so forth. So it's becoming a very repetitive problem that we can control. So by us having working very well with the fitness clubs, Marilyn's here, thank you so much. We are going to move in that direction. Hopefully sooner than 2025. We're still working on it, but we will let you know if it is going to happen that way. By us doing this, this opens up Palm Ridge much, much more for your activities that everybody is fighting for. So, the most important piece is your general membership meetings. People are taking advantage of general membership meetings. Socials are socials. General membership meetings are business. So for those of you that have them in your own space because you have a smaller group, this really does not apply to you. But if you're going to be utilizing our larger spaces and asking for tables and chairs set up as banquet style, you will see that we have defined banquet style and theater style. So banquet style, round tables with chairs, board set up with mics and podium. If you have 250 members that are coming and you're having food, that is banquet style. If you are doing theater style, that's just chairs. If you've been to any of our events here, that's theater style. I think it's pretty easy to grasp the concept, but if you have any questions, we can definitely show you a diagram. Chairs only with board setup and mics and podium. So here's the kicker. Right now, our RMPs that we are utilizing have 3 general membership meetings. Those are the ones that are required, okay? Maximum of 4 meetings will be at no charge if requested banquet style. I know some of you clubs are very large and you need to get that out there. And we understand that sometimes you gotta draw them in a little bit, understandable. But when it's 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or 12, yes, there is a club out there with 12, that are doing tables and chairs at no cost to the association, no cost, or it's also utilizing the space and not getting their business done because it becomes a social. We're asking that if you want anything more than 4 banquet styles, you can either go theater style at no charge, if you need to fulfill the rest of your year, or you will be charged half the price of the cost of the room. So I think Laura and I sat and tried to type this out as easy to read as possible, and I think we have it. You see banquet style is in green down at the bottom. It's so that you know you'll be charged if it's more than 4 banquet styles. Lastly, we do want to start this process July 1st. So Laura and Donna will be working with you. There's not many of you that utilize this, but those of you that do, they'll be working with you, and we're going to allocate half starting July 1. So you'll have 2 banquet styles at no cost, okay? So get through the rest of this season, through June, and then it starts in July 1st. Just understand too that I had a really good question from Vicky Erla on the CR6s this afternoon. How do you know that we received your email, your CR6s? We're going to put an automatic reply back, so it's really called out of office. So that'll come back to you as soon as it goes through, okay? So good question. Whatever club asked that for her to bring to my attention, thank you, I appreciate that. That helps a lot. Do you want to just see if there's questions on this, and then I'll go to the next one?
Yeah, let's take questions. Any questions from the committee? No. We'll open it to the floor?
If you want.
Sure, let's take questions from the floor. You got to get in line, and questions are directed to the chair, and give us your name and rec card number, please.
Deborah Sinelli, 123357. My question is, when we go online to get this form, are we able to, do we have to download it first, fill it out, and then can we send it back as an attachment, or do we have to print it off, fill it out, scan it back in, and then send it?
All right. We are going to open. Laura and I also created a new, hopefully simplified format. So it is fillable currently online as we speak. So if you go to SCW Clubs under Documents, the CR6 that's posted as of today is now the current one. You will see that it is kind of the same thing, but we don't have that little button in there that says email or save as or anything like that, because that did not work for everybody. So you can go in and you can create this. So for your club, you can pretty much put everything in this CR6 and you're good. Once you send it, that is your signature. However, Pam has like a lot of extras for boomers. She's gonna submit everything and she's gonna scan and email it to us. So if you need help, this is where I said that will help a little bit. If you need us to scan it for you, we'll scan that for you if you don't have those kind of tools at home. We understand that. Okay. Does that make sense? Great.
Pam Kice, president of the Boomers. Go back to the
Record number, please.
I'm sorry, 402-401. I thought, now those ones that are the theater, when we talked before, you were going to make a 2-hour limit on those meetings?
Yes, I'm so sorry. It's actually right there. Meetings are not to run past 2 hours. I do have it listed.
I just don't understand how a club needs 12 meetings a year at half price. I don't understand. I mean, we're one of the biggest ones and we can accomplish in 4. I just don't understand. Under board meetings, yes, we have them every month, but I don't know. I think you need to make it stricter because there are going to be clubs that are going to take advantage of it. My opinion.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kathleen McCullough. I'm president of Palo Verde Patchers Quilt Club. My number is 402029. And I just have a quick question. I know that that form is supposed to come from the president. I will be out of town at the time, so I'm going to have our treasurer submit that, so it will come from her email. Will that still be accepted?
Just make sure she's the additional officer that's listed.
Okay, so okay, thank you.
Yep.
Larry Plaster, president of the tennis club, 130-627. Casey, I just want to clarify, we have our 4 quarterly general membership meetings that we set up banquet style. We have the 2 special, well, one, this year we're going to have 2 special meetings. Our gala, we've already had, that may not count, and then we have another one in October. Do the special events also, are those going to fall into what we have to pay for half the cost?
If they're socials, it sounds like they're socials.
They are social, yes.
I think you use your tournament as one free, no, you don't.
No.
What do you use your free socials for?
In the past, it's just been our gala, which we just had last week. This year, we're having a special 45th anniversary event in October. So on a fiscal year basis, we would have 2 of those.
Yeah, if you want to use those as your 2 free socials, those would be on page 3.
Okay, so that's
Okay.
different. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Casey? Yeah, go ahead.
Casey, it's not a question, but just a tip I'd like to share. So you were saying for those who don't have machines at home to do scanning, right? Anyone who's savvy with their phones, there's an app you can download. It's called Genius. You just scan it off your phone and send it. You don't need a machine anymore. So wanted to let you guys know if anyone's interested how to do it, I'm happy to show you. It's very helpful.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Can I ask everybody to silence their phones, please? I hear one keeps going off. So if you could please check your phones. Thank you.
Jack, I just have a quick question.
Yes, Carol.
Question for Casey, actually. I do like Genius Scan. I use it all the time, but I was told not to use it with scheduling. Is that changed? Can we still use Genius Scan?
Probably, I would assume it's the same as if you were to scan a document.
That's what I thought. So I just want to clarify before I keep using it to
So
send.
let me remind everybody, I don't think I have to, but I will out of kindness. We are kind of a different department now. Scheduling is on the up and up. It's the hub of the community. If you don't have it in orderly fashion, it could create a lot of chaos. So we've done a lot of work of at least trying to make this more simplified for all of you. I really hope you appreciate some of the changes that have come forth already, and moving forward, you'll be noticing more as well.
Thank you. And the change is noticeable.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Next slide. Just for fun, positive, we do have some community events. Nick already touched on it. We do have the pickleball tournament. I was there this morning, I should say, to watch the ball drop. Very successful, and I know they're still collecting some of their money, so the $53,000 is just kind of where it sits as of now. I believe the 6th they'll have their final total. Sunwest Art Show is also this weekend, March 8th through the 10th, and then tennis tournament at the end of this month. Their swing into spring is March 20th through 24th. We also have, if you saw it in the Independent this week, our cycle club is putting a little awareness route together on Saturday at 10 a.m. So if you see them riding around, slow down. It's for you to slow down. Okay, we want to avoid at all costs any kind of issues with our cyclists. And then lastly, on March 18th, we have our Happy Camp. So those clubs that are participating, I thank you very much, and I look forward to that. Lastly, I have been given a nice little reminder that there's a craft fair on Friday at, I guess, the Sundome Plaza. Please don't put these in the rooms, okay? So you can talk about it, you can market about it, word of mouth, stuff like that, but telling people that you're going to be selling at that event and posting it on bulletin boards is just kind of something that we do not allow. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Casey from the committee? Audience? Okay, we will go to our next agenda item, which is Carl Wilhelm will give us the latest update on club-related capital project budgets. Then after Carl is done, we as a committee will have the ability to offer our thoughts on 3 club-related items and make a recommendation to the governing board on what to do with those. So Carl, go ahead.
Thank you for having me. Welcome, community and Charter Clubs Committee. This is our 7th month of the budgeting process. Each and every month, we provide you the master list that every committee gets to see, including the governing board. This includes capital items that are new, things that are in our reserve study tool that have met their asset life, and then a category under allowances. In the 7th month here, we're also in a season where we've narrowed things down to, I have a presentation. If you want to view it today, over $100,000 items. But first thing I'll do is go over the document. There you go. Thank you, Robert. Starting with items that are new. And if it's helpful for future presentations, these documents are online 48 hours before the event, and you can print them off on board docs. So if that's ever helpful for anybody. In the new category, we have no changes since February. All the prices are the same. I do open the floor for any questions when we're done with this presentation, if you have any questions on any particular line item. Moving over to the blue category, you'll see our first change is landscaping department has done their due diligence with accounting. Previously, it was landscaping vehicles quantity 3 at a price of $90,989, and now we're proposing for the budget to only be $56,903 due to only 2 vehicles are necessary. Moving right along, we have a new addition. In the previous years, servers were purchased through the unknown, unexpected changes of allowances. We have 3 servers that are known to be replaced, so we're allocating this into the budget here in the 7th month. So 3 services for servers for the IT department, an addition of $29,172. That concludes the reserve study items that are other departments and myself. And moving over to golf, the reserve study items of change is the accounting department and Todd Patty realized that they did not enter the Trail Ridge Lakeshore Line hardscape addition for riffraff around the lake and a sealing of the basin so that we don't have the evaporative water for an addition of $48,000. And there are no changes in the categories of allowances, which is the last section. My next portion of this presentation are the slides, items over 100,000. And I will go through this and then open the floor for questions. Thank you, Robert. Items for month 7, capital items over $100,000. We're starting off in the new category. We have the Sports Pavilion Lizard Acres Bar Room renovation and equipment, $225,000. There is no changes to this in the conversation over the last 7 months. Next slide. We have the library expansion, renovation, design, architecture, and documents for $100,000. Again, these funds are for the availability to procure services from architectural services and engineering to ultimately provide plans for future year planning of a library renovation. No changes in requested funds. Those are the items in the new category. Moving on to the reserve study items. Items that meet our asset useful life. Koontz outfield fence replacement for $495,000. No changes since the last presentation on this subject. Same with Silvercraft remodel, millwork and countertops for $375,000. I always remind the committees as we go along, there are two smaller dollar items part of this same project. The LVT flooring is a reserve study item for $23,850 in the Silvercraft room. And then if the overall project were to be approved, we would replace the grid ceiling and the sprinkler heads for $38,000 additional dollars. Moving on, we have the Palm Ridge outdoor pool deck resurface replacement for $186,266. This is the same rubber decking that we have done at Koontz and at R.H. Johnson. Our Palm Ridge Activities Aquatics buildings will get a flat roof restoration. These restorations afford us the ability to extend the roof's warranty by 10 years. I generally get a maximized efficiency out of that, and have had already roofs go to 12 years before the restoration needs to happen again. This allows us to have a smaller cost for restoring a roof as opposed to the very large cost of actually tearing a roof off and having to do the whole roofing system replacement. Moving on to Palm Ridge Fitness Center, cardio equipment, $159,000. This equipment gets replaced every 5 years. And I believe under $100,000 was the Palm Ridge strength equipment, just for full transparency. R.H. Johnson Admin Building flat roof restoration, also a 10-year warranty restoration, $140,000. And I will cover the golf items for Todd Patty. You go one more slide, Robert. One more after that. Okay, first capital item over $100,000 is the $5,050,000 irrigation replacement. No changes to Todd's plans on this subject matter for Echo Mesa. $992,838 for golf course maintenance equipment, 19 pieces of equipment replaced. 13 vehicles in the replacement category for golf maintenance for $357,689. Keep going. The next slide is the list that is directly from our reserve study tool for those categories, $992,838 and $357,689 in the next slide. And the last two items are the Desert Trails Pro Shop parking lot, mill and replacement of the asphalt, $135,000. And then the golf course golf carts, 20 carts to be replaced for $129,792. No changes in the allowances category. Allowances, just as a reminder, are the unexpected items that happen in this community at times: well pump replacements, safety and structural issues, equipment replacement, information technology upgrades, energy conservation opportunities, ADA compliance upgrades, and unexpected facility improvements overall. Director, if you have any questions.
Okay, committee, any questions for Carl?
Hi, I do. Question. Looks like if we do replace some golf carts and some of the vehicles, what do we do with the old stuff? Do we trade them in? What do we do with that?
So on the golf carts, I believe that we actually keep the golf carts in, no, we do a trade-in on the golf carts. I'm going to let Pete Finelli come down and give me a hand with that one.
Thank you. Actually, the golf carts are lasting upwards of 12, 15 years, so we've getting really extended life, so we have no net value on our books. About half of them are continued to be incorporated in the inventory so as to spread it out and get more rentals, more golf rounds. On the ones that we do deem to be end of life, we do a bill of sale and sell them to a wholesaler. And we then record that as a gain.
And then on the equipment that Todd uses for landscape maintenance or golf maintenance, generally he strips them down and they are used up, but a lot of the parts on there are very good for the next season's machines, and he stores that in his maintenance areas.
Any other questions? Kathy?
I do. Carl, on the library expansion, what would be a possible year that might take place if everything were approved? When would
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Sorry.
No, that is a very good question, actually. So with governing and board approval of the funding for the $100,000 request in this budget, I would say it would certainly take at least a year in some form of those funds to develop an actual remodel plan. So I think that in the year, if everything went perfect, and how I've managed constructions projects that scale before, 24-25 would be the planning year. 25-26 could be a potential construction year, or the year that you propose the overall large capital spend. You know, our estimation is this is a $5 million project. And so governing board decision, if there's buy-in with just the development costs of $100,000 of getting plans and moving forward with some form of planning, I would say 3 years out would be a realistic long-range plan. There are other items in the reserve study tool like tables, chairs, all the bookshelves that are coming due earlier in the reserve study tool. Carpeting is another one. Actually, carpet's been coming up for a few years, and we've made extra years of use out of that carpet. And so there are items in the library that are starting to become due in their useful life and adding up towards the ultimate goal of a renovation. If that renovation doesn't happen, then we'll have to make other decisions.
Yeah, on the library expansion, just another question. Is there going to be a change in the purpose of the library or the master plan of what the library is going to be used for? Or are you talking about renovating just as it is right now and updating?
I really encourage you, instead of, I'm not the subject matter on that, I would be the subject matter on getting a construction project going for that with what I know. I encourage you to go back to the last few months of presentation. It was very clearly spoken on what the library staff's intentions and requests to the community in how they want the library to be used as of a more social center with library aspect to it. So that's all on YouTube, and you have the opportunity to go back and see that. It was very fully presented to everybody, including the governing board.
That was in December, wasn't it?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember, but it was close.
Any other questions from the committee? Carol?
Carl, on the Lizard Acres proposal, it looks to me like the request is just to redesign what is already there, move things around, or I'm assuming greater capacity.
Well, I got to justify that $225,000, so it's a little bigger than just moving things around. Demo the bar, rebuild, demo the bar of approximately 12 seats, put a bar that's 22 seat capacity, all the extra equipment that goes along with a bar in the center exterior wall of that room. You'll see there's a row of benches on the document that it's a long table, a social table, so it creates another approximately 22 seating area. So we are trying to bolster the bar seating, viewing opportunity. We are also trying to make it a uniform, set in place, ADA compliant environment, with less opportunity for moving tables, and an overall, beautification of that space, which we believe is what's justifying our beliefs that we'll probably have a 20% increase in business in there. Somebody else earlier said that the place currently reminds them of somebody's bar in their basement from Milwaukee, so that's funny, and it kind of does, but it served us well. But this is trying to take it to a much higher level, a lounge atmosphere based on the Sports Pavilion Committee bringing that to our attention quite a few years ago and us getting to this place.
What is the capacity for that room?
In the 180s, off the top of my head, I don't have the accurate number, maybe 200.
And that still allows room for a band?
Yes, it does. I mean, this seating capacity reduces it to the 160 to the 180 level for sure. We're trying to slow things down a little bit from the entertainment value, still have some good entertainment, not quite the big trendy bands that create issues, over capacity, people standing outside the glass, waiting to get in and then disappointed. I think between, future opportunities with the restaurant, redevelopment here, you're going to have one great improvement to the sports pavilion.
Thank you.
Carl, speaking of food, that's for that other place, that other one that's, you're looking for a new tenant, right? So this Lizard's place, no food, correct?
No food handling by staff in this place. You'll have the opportunity of getting food provided you as a service from the future restaurant to carry in, to have food up on the concourse of the sports pavilion. So come to the Sports Pavilion Committee next week, and you're going to hear our report on the interviewing of the candidates for restaurateurs. And I think you're going to be quite impressed with what we have to share.
Thank you.
Yeah, on that point, the intent is that for the candidates that have responded to the RFP, that was one of the points, that they would provide food to Blizzard Acres and to the bowlers as well. Any other questions? Nick, did you have one?
Just the softball fence, is that now becoming a safety issue?
Any safety issue that happened during our tours the last 7 months have been fully corrected by Russ. The bottom line is it has met its useful life. The cracking in the post could happen at any time again. It's old, and this is why we're presenting it. It's time for replacement.
So it's not an immediate safety issue, but it could be tomorrow.
If I had a safety issue, we would correct it immediately. So there's no safety issues right at this moment.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions from the committee?
Also on the softball fence, would that extension height go all the way around?
With a net. So 24-foot tall chain link with 6 additional feet of netting all the way around.
All the way around.
And is there 24 feet of chain link all the way around now?
Correct, yes, there is.
Okay.
But there is no netting except for in the first base end line.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee? Questions from the audience for Carl?
Pen's missing. 401, 402 Pam Keiss. Are they going to do anything with the ceiling in there for better acoustics? Because
Where at?
at Lizard Lounge.
Oh. So no acoustic changes are planned in this $225,000 equation. The only changes being planned for is reversing the direction of the band Our comments from the Sports Pavilion Committee and design team were, you know, the music coming from the current location of basically from the pool going towards the bowlers was annoying, loud. We're planning on reversing that, and then the only sound abatement is better blinds that are soft, maybe a fabric as opposed to velour. And then I have a speaker sound system upgrade that's already approved, but I haven't spent anything until this happens.
Does that ceiling also, is that concrete like the social hall?
No,
No.
Originally it used to have the same social hall ceiling with the V,
Mhm.
and I think in 2017 or 18, I was asked to renovate that to flat. And it just has fairly decent acoustic value tiles, just like you see in the rest of our rec centers like here. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
And Carl, if I'm not mistaken, I think the plan for the bands is rather, like you said, rather than the big bands, are going to go more with solos, duets, and trios.
Yes, we asked for the 4 and 5 piece bands to be reduced by management there, and maybe some of the bands that don't draw such a trendy crowd of outsiders. So
Jolene Piaskowski, 132268. I'm not too sure. Wasn't the Lizard Lounge originally just for the amenity for Sun City West residents? Was that the purpose of creating Lizard Lounge?
Carl, do you know the answer to that? I don't know the answer.
Does anyone know the answer to that? Because it happened, what, 3 or 4 years ago?
it's been a bar since I've been here. It's always had one, so I don't think anybody.
No, it wasn't a bar. Was it always a bar?
No, I'm saying it had a bar in it.
It was shuffleboard, right?
Since I arrived in 17, it's always had an L-shaped bar in it.
But Lizard Lounge, do you know that, Kate? Do you know when it was established? I mean,
2 years ago.
okay.
Yeah,
So, and
So for those who didn't hear, Kay said it was prior to Lizard Acres, it was a shuffleboard room and a meeting room.
okay, and then we made it into Lizard Acres. And was that just for like a resident gathering?
I think that's a valid
Is that-
assumption.
Okay, so now there's been complaints about people being able to come in on Fridays and Saturdays when they have the bands and everything, and residents can't get in. And they say they can't close it because it's in the bowling alley, which is open. My question is...
I don't think the intent was ever to have it privatized to just members. I think the bowling alley as a member, as an amenity, has always been open to the public.
Right, right. So, but if the intentions for Lizard Acres at first was just for residents to...
I don't agree with that.
No?
Shuffleboard might have been a club event. but
Okay,
when
so
the
anyway, my
pub-
question is this. We are having a problem with people getting in on nights that are packed, and they're saying that it's not residents, that non-residents are there, correct? Why can't we close Lizard Acres just for residents? And they say because it's in the bowling alley, but billiards in the bowling alley, and you can't go in there. So do you have that answer?
So I don't have that answer. I think the sports pavilion meeting would be the better place to ask that question. It's a good question.
Yeah, because I'm just, I just don't understand. I mean, and I don't have a problem spending the 225, but we're spending 225 for non-members to use that facility. And if it's in the bowling alley, which I understand, I was under the assumption that it's because it was in the bowling alley that it had to be open, because our bowling alley is open.
I think that's a great question to ask them, because we don't have the answers here.
Next
They would
Wednesday.
have the answers.
Next Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, Carl, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now for the committee, there are 3 items on this list, of Carl's list, that I'd like to discuss. The first one is on the front page of Carl's list, on the yellow items. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth one down, which is the Kuntz Tennis facility renovation for $50,000. And then the next two are on the second page above that. These are all club-related. The first two, the softball field, outfield fence replacement, and the Silvercraft model millwork and countertops, but not the flooring and the ceiling. So this is our opportunity as the Chartered Clubs Committee to make a recommendation to the governing board as to what we think, what the committee thinks should be given a priority. So I'd like to see, hear some discussion, and then we'll ask for a consensus on those. So anybody want to start us off? So everything's acceptable?
No.
Okay, there we go. I knew I get it. Okay, Nick.
Do you want comments on all three, or just one of them to start with?
Yeah, maybe one at a time.
Okay, well, starting in the order of your list, the courts at Kuntz. I hate to delay development in an area which needs repair and fixing of some sort. But I don't, until we know what the resolution is to the long-term plan, until we have some ideas about what's the best way forward in terms of any needed provision of additional pickleball courts, if that is required or not, and if it is going to be required, by when. Until we have answers to those questions, I don't know that we know exactly what we need to be doing in the area of the Kuntz courts. And so my immediate thought is that we should be voting no on that, and we should be pressuring the governing board to come up with a prioritized, discussed, received viewpoints from the community on a long-term plan. I don't know how we can make that kind of decision without knowing where are we going with our tennis, pickleball, in the future. And how does that priority contrast with the library? Is it more or less important than the library? Is it more or less important than casual dining? Is it more or less important than investment in IT? We don't know. And so, until we know those answers, I think in terms of the Kuntz courts, it should be a no.
Okay, I should add here that the reason this appears on the list is it is an item in the reserve study that has come due. It's time to do something with it. So it's time. That's how it appears on this list.
Yeah, I understand. I know that the surface there is in disrepair. I know there are courts that can't be used because they're dangerous. I hate the idea of leaving them alone for another year. But until we know what's actually happening in the future, I don't know how we can make that decision.
Okay. Carol?
Knowing this item was going to be coming up, I visited the courts recently multiple times at different times of the day. They've never been fully occupied, but there has always been someone there playing. So I spoke to those individuals and asked, why are they not at Palm Ridge or the other pickleball facility? And they said they like it just the way it is. Their thoughts are there's way too much competition in getting times to play by going online, and that the level of play is much too competitive for their taste. So they can access these courts when they want with no difficulty whatsoever. And everyone that I spoke to said it fully meets their needs. So I guess when we come to a vote, I'm going to vote no.
Okay. Connie, did you have a comment? Vicki, did you have a comment? We can take it out of order. We don't, we're not.
I'm going to tag on to what's already been said. I'm in full agreement. I'm a no vote on that. My understanding is that neither tennis nor pickleball are excited about these courts. And while I have played over there and I know that, yes, it's time for repair, I think we've got the cart ahead of the horse here. My personal feeling is we have so many clubs that are just clamoring for space, and we have, I'd rather look at options for this space rather than putting money into making these courts that we have 2 clubs not wanting. I'd rather consider other options, so I'm a no vote on that.
Okay. Kathy?
I agree with what Connie said. Those 2 courts are such a valuable piece of real estate, and we are so short of places to put anything. We have clubs that are growing that need space. I think it needs more investigation. We need a plan.
Okay. Judy?
Yeah, I totally agree with what's said. We spent a lot of time over at Kuntz last week, I think it was, and obviously the courts were not being used at that point in time. We know what pickleball and tennis feel about those courts. They're not very excited about them. And when you look at that open space, it's like there might be possibilities for other things that space could be used for. I would vote no.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a consensus for recommending that the governing board not do anything with that space, that $50,000. Okay. Okay, next item is the Kuntz softball field fence. Everybody okay with that? Go ahead, Nick.
I went down a couple of hours ago and just had another look at it, and I agree it's in need of replacement now. I think is this the second or third year it's come up? It was postponed previous.
Year 3.
Yeah, and I think it's time now. It's expensive, but it's $300,000 less expensive than we were expecting it to be. So I think it's probably time now to do it.
Okay, anybody else? Carol?
It's a beautiful facility, but we want to keep it looking nice, and this needs to be done. I agree. We've put this off long enough. It's time to get this done.
I agree with that. Like Judy said, we spent some time up there the other day looking around. It's time to do it.
Definitely time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't claim to be a softball aficionado, but out in center field on that very tall wall, it just looked like it was ready to maybe not be effective very shortly. And so, yeah, it just really, in my opinion, needs replacing.
Okay, anybody else want to comment? So if I hear you correctly, I hear a yes on that as a consensus. I see head shaking, okay. Okay, the last item on the list for clubs are the Silvercraft countertops and cabinets and millwork for $375. Who wants to start that discussion? I'll start down here with Judy. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, other than the fact that I really feel it needs, the work that they're suggesting here. I did spend some time in there. I also know the good work that this club does, and it's a large club, and I think they deserve what they need to run that club effectively, and I would definitely vote yes for this.
Okay, Maria?
I would support that too, Judy. I've looked as well. They've been up for a couple years, I think, to ask for an upgrade, and they've been patiently waiting, and it's time. I agree. I would vote yes.
Yeah, Connie?
I would agree on a yes vote. Carl, am I understanding this will not include the ceilings and the floors at this time?
No, that is not true.
It will.
If the project overall is approved, We have three components. The $375,
370.
my apologies, $375,000 remodel for countertops and cabinets. Then we have the flooring component, which is another reserve study line item. So regardless, they would get flooring if that's the timing that we would decide to do it in.
Okay.
But because of the remodel, if you looked at the ceiling condition, Russ and I proposed that the ceiling get replaced, because who wants to do it a few years from now? And if we're gonna do that major of a remodel, we'll do a $38,000 ceiling and sprinkler head, and the price is combined in there. So
Okay.
we
Thank
do a
you.
remodel, we do sprinkler head change out.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure those were still possible.
Yep.
So I was originally one that said no. I wasn't for the entire project. I wasn't thinking the floor and the ceiling needed to be done at this point. I regret that I made that decision without having first done the tour. I've done it since that time, and I fully support this project. I mean, they have so many aspects in that club that need to be taken care of, and it's time to do it, the whole project.
Okay, Vicki?
I recently took a tour of the Silver Club, and I would absolutely support all this work that needs to be done.
Thank you. Carol?
I agree with everything that's been said, but in addition to the remodel of the room, which it sorely needs, the room itself is going to be reworked so that the space is far better utilized than it currently is, and that is going to make a great deal of difference to how this club operates.
Yeah. Nick, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Carol said, is that the current layout of the room doesn't suit the purposes of the club. And they really struggle with classes and teaching and other things because the layout is just not right. If you go in there as well, you see things like conduit coming down from holes in the ceiling to power the equipment, which is on the benches. There are cupboards which are held together by duct tape in order to keep the veneer on the cupboards. This is not really a new project. This is just regular repair, maintenance, and replacement. This room has not been done since R.H. Johnson was built, and it needs doing, and lapidary needs doing as well, but I understand that is on the schedule for next year. And, you know, other clubs in other buildings have had this work done. Clay clubs had the work done. You know, the craft clubs at Kuntz have had the work done. They're there. They've got the new, they've got the modern cupboards, they've got the nice facilities. And this place, if you go in there, as I echo what Connie says, is that everybody who's been in there and had a meeting and an understanding and a tour from the club officers supports this. The only people who seem to be against it are those who've never actually been in there. And I think that speaks a lot. So yes, you can probably guess I'm in favour.
Yeah. I did pick up on that. Yeah. Yes, Judy.
Yeah, one other thing, that club gets a lot of attention from the public too, because of its location. A lot of people walking by that area and looking in those windows, and we certainly want to make sure it's the best view they get.
Carl, did you want to say something?
And if that project is approved by our governing board, I just want to tell you that the overall project involvement from facility maintenance is huge. You know, Kathy Estes will tell you that they'll be helping me with electrical. They'll be helping me move airlines. They'll be helping with venting systems, wall removal, a bit of a room reframing in the office area. So that's not in here. You know what I mean? That's us as a team, facilities maintenance, coming together and making the best of a room, you know, a repaint, you know, so.
And I want to point out that Kathy has not said anything, and she has abstained because she's the president of the Silvercraft Club. But although she has that interest, obviously her interest is in seeing that it's done. So I think as a committee, I get the consensus that we have a yes for all of that. So what I take that as my charter to the appropriate governing board meeting. I don't know if it's the next one, but I will pass along the consensus that this committee said no to the Kuntz remodel, yes to the softball field fence, and yes to the Silvercraft cabinets and millwork. Okay, I will do that. Okay. That takes us through all of our items of business. We'll go to committee comments. I'll start down here with Judy. Do you have any comments?
Yeah, I do think I've said enough, but I'm really proud of this committee. I must say, we have spent the time doing our homework to be able to support all these things that were brought up today, and I'm really proud of this committee.
Okay, thank you. Kathy?
Yeah, I agree with that, and it was good to go out and look at all of these different things that were on the list, and, you know, just see for ourselves. I think it's really important for all the different committees to actually do the work of going out and seeing what's being proposed, and that's what we did.
Thank you. Maria?
No comment.
Connie?
Just a couple of quick things. First of all, are you doing that to sabotage me again? First of all, I have had I don't know if I want to call it the pleasure, but maybe the privilege of covering the minutes for the last 4 months. And one of the things that has really stood out to me, because it requires me, or it has required me, to go back and watch the meetings again. Last month, it was really refreshing to hear everybody on this committee just really proud of their clubs and hear so many positive things. And I know so often we have to deal with the business end of things, and it's not always the fun part. But the last couple of months have been very positive, and I know we're all enjoying interacting with our clubs. And for those of you who may not have watched the last meeting or noticed that, please notice the positivity, because it was wonderful to hear so much good going on with all of our clubs. And then the last thing is, Casey, I think it's wonderful having you down here with us to answer the questions. It helps us a lot, and you're a huge part of what we do. So.
Vicki, any comments?
No comment.
Carol?
I think when we first began contacting all of our clubs and telling them that we were their liaison and we're the intermediary between the rec center and their clubs, people really didn't know what that meant. They didn't know what to expect. Their guard was up. They were afraid we were going to come in and tell their clubs they were doing things wrong or that they needed to change the way that they function. We've been doing this long enough now that clubs have realized that's not the case. We're coming in to help if we can, assist if we can, and to answer questions for them. And if we don't know the answers to those questions, we have a direct line to Casey who will provide those answers. So we've now been doing this long enough. I think our role as liaisons to these clubs has become much easier and much more productive.
Thank you. Nick?
You'd be surprised to hear no comments.
I want to make a note of this. Oh, Vicki?
Just to piggyback on what Carol just said, yes, we do go and we ask Casey when a club asks us something and we don't know the answer, and Casey gets back to both of us very quickly. Thank you, Casey.
Casey, do you have any comments?
You know, I will. Just real quick. This last week, I think, Nick, you talked about platform tennis. Sunny, who's our events planner, and myself went to meet tennis last week. Butch and Mike invited us, and they got me on the court, and they got to see the real Casey. I try not to let that happen because I'm a nice person. And I'm
Video
fun.
or it didn't happen.
No, it's okay. So I just kind of want to say thank you so much for your hospitality that day. It was actually a lot of fun, and I enjoyed myself. So I just kind of wanted to give that little shout out.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, I'll open the floor for comments, questions. please come up to the microphone at the lectern and give us your name and your rec card number.
Deborah Sinelli, 123357. Maria, I've been president of Stitchers for almost 2 years. I've never gotten a call from you guys to meet, for you guys to come over to see what we do, to sit in on one of our general meetings. This is the first day that I've heard about this March 13th club meeting. And what time on the 13th, where, and is it just for the presidents or is it for board members as well?
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that because I received an email list we received an email list of all the presidents for the arts and crafts, and I sent an email out last week, and I asked everyone to RSVP this date because more information would come on it. You didn't get it?
You need to check. I had trouble with my email before. They forgot to put on the .com.
So do me a favor, after the meeting, let me get your email address because
Okay.
the notice is going out today with more details, and I'd hate for you to miss it. So see me
Okay.
after, okay?
All right.
I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Just one thing, Deborah, we have 21 or 22 clubs in arts and crafts, and that's why we decided to do the workshops where we could get everybody together. In addition, we'd like to come to a board meeting or your general membership meeting, or just see your club, as we can work that in. But with 21 clubs, it's a little hectic sometimes.
That still doesn't explain why I've never gotten a notice.
Well,
'Cause you
evidently
should've-
because we don't have the right email.
Yeah, because you would have gotten that email asking us if we could attend one of your meetings, and we don't pressure anybody. Whoever responds back, we go to. So we'll get that straightened out.
Pam Keiss, 402-401, and I'm sorry I have so much to say today. I don't think I've talked this much in the 3 years I've come to these meetings. Casey, I respect you and Lara trying to redo some of the stuff that's going on. And we did have a discussion. Are you going to try to get the general membership meetings to the Johnson Social Hall so that it saves space for Palm Ridge, for all the main events, for all the clubs to have?
It'd be more of during the day, morning and day. So like I said, I don't know if you really heard me, phase 1 is going to be complete. Phase 1 was moving all of those fitness classes into one location. And we're talking about not 91 clubs, folks, because not all 91 clubs utilize this facility, but we're probably talking about a good 30 to 35 clubs on top of the rec centers, on top of every other homeowner here that may rent it from us, but they get priority after you all. But we are noticing, I know Laura's already kind of looked through that during the morning and afternoon. Once that happens, we would like to try and take those general membership meetings and block them in certain times of the day, if at all possible, to help alleviate and open up a little bit more time and space.
Okay, well, I thank you. I thank you for looking into that.
That wasn't very much, Pam.
Sign your name. My name is Kathy Michaels, and I'm co-treasurer for Weavers West Guild.
Rec card number, please.
133-711. And I'm kind of not on any of the current topics. My topic is name badges. Has it ever been discussed that they have one name badge when people become a member of the community in the rec centers instead of each club having their own name badge? That's all.
Okay, thank you. No, I'll take that back to operations, yeah.
Okay.
It's a good idea.
It's getting expensive. I got some recently, and there's $11.50 for a name badge, and that was just said Weavers West Guild on it. It didn't even have a person's name, and the quantity was 30. So it's not like I just ordered 10.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Good idea. Any other questions, comments, updates? No, we need to have you come down. Or okay, can we get her a microphone? Is there a handheld?
Jean Phillips. Jean Phillips. 117529, Rip and Sew President. What facility was the gym activity or all the classes moved to? What?
Social hall.
Social hall,
Mhm.
okay, so that will impact us, okay. And then the other thing about the name badges, Rip and Sew used to have to pay like $5 a piece for badges. Just FYI, we paid about $250 for a laminating machine like they use over at Computers West. And our costs have gone way, way down. So you might want to, they don't, I would consider doing that before I pay $11.50 for a badge again. I can give you information if you need it.
Thanks, Jean.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Gotcha, with tax, okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I will adjourn the meeting at 2:51. Thank you for coming. We'll see you next month.